How about this fucking team right here? Look at this fucking team.
I love hockey. It's a great game.
All right, guys, welcome back to Hodish Hockey. We've had quite a few games since the last video. So the last video we left off right before the long break after what was a really good road trip. And the Kings didn't come out like you'd want them to, losing to Edmonton. That was a pretty big game at the time with how the standings were. But then, what a response. Great wins against Vegas, beating Arizona 2 times. You have to beat Arizona when you get to play them twice, and the Kings did. A really, really good win against Anaheim, one of the best of the season, just the best performances by the Kings that there's been in a long time. And then they also won at home against the Islanders. Again, another really good win. Unfortunately, the last couple games were not as good. The 7-0 loss against Boston, it's just sad. I feel like the team has gotten away from these kind of results being a thing. I mean, 2-3 years ago, this was pretty common for the Kings. Unfortunately, it happened. And, looking at the upcoming schedule, they're going to be playing Boston in a few days. I'm going to be at the game, so I really hope that it's nothing like this 7-0 loss. But Boston's a good team, and that really just hurt the momentum, you feel like. But honestly, I think the worst loss of the two was Dallas, because that was a game that was winnable. Arthur Kaliev had a really, really good game. He could have had 3, 4, 5 goals. He just looked so good. And just a couple mistakes after leading 3-1, and the Kings give up the win. And, so obviously 7-0 looks worse on the scoreboard, but I just feel like that was a worse loss for us to take. And it scared me going into the Columbus game. It really scared me in the Columbus game, giving up 3 goals in 45 seconds. That's just, again, that's just the mental mistakes that this team, I thought, was past, especially with this great run of form that they've been in. But they're not. I guess, fortunately for us, we are a team that can weather the storm and come back from mistakes like that. And they were able to come back. They forced overtime. Arvidsson had a hell of a game. It goes to overtime. The Kings lose, but they didn't. They ended up winning the game because of the offside, which a lot of people were very confused about. Watching it, it was pretty obvious that Werenski was offside during the play, and it took a lot of reviews and people looking at the wrong guy to figure it out. But at least we win the game, because a loss here, losing 3 in a row would have been pretty bad for the morale and, again, for the momentum that the Kings have really built up in this last run of games. Every line has been stepping up except for the third line. Finally, in the last game against Columbus, Alex Iafallo got demoted to the third line to kind of help that line out a little bit. Because if you look at his last 13 games, 1 goal, 1 assist, and that was playing with Kopitar, playing with Kempe. Kempe, who had 3 2-goal games in like 4, and to only get 2 points. Yes, Iafallo does a lot of stuff that doesn't end up on the stat sheet, but you could just see that he was less involved. And, again, especially being on the line with Kempe and Kopitar, you need to be putting up points a little bit better. And he was earlier on in the season. I don't know if it's a confidence thing. I don't know if he's just kind of, maybe he feels like he needs to defer to the other 2 guys, but he's definitely dropped off a little bit. And even the little plays, I think, have just dropped off. He had a good play in the last game against Columbus, but he needs to refresh a little bit, because, at the moment, Kopi's playing lights out. Kempe's playing really well. The fourth line gets hurt with Lemieux going down. I don't think it's a long-term injury, but there isn't much news on that. And if it is long-term injury, that really does, it's a big blow for the team. I know it's early, but if you're talking about playoffs.
Playoffs? Don't talk about it. Playoffs? You kidding me? Playoffs?
Lemieux is a really important type of player to have in the playoffs. And so hopefully he comes back. Other injury news is Alex Edler might be coming back. That's an interesting one for me, because I'm not sure who you take out for Edler. Obviously, Oli Mata is the guy that a lot of fans are going to say, but Oli Mata, despite all the critics he has been one of our better defensemen on the team. He's been super reliable. He's not an offensive guy, but defensively, he's been really a shutdown guy for us, and kind of the player that they traded for in the first place. So I'm not sure who comes out. Maybe you take Bjornfoot out. Like Dursey would have been the on-man out, but you're not going to take out Sean Dursey at the moment. He's playing too well, and he's getting better every game. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens. But, the Kings are going to have to figure it out. And at least, like I said, in the moment, this is a 4-line team. This is a team that every player is pretty much doing their job. So we'll see what happens. Again, hopefully the Lemieux injury isn't bad, but Elias Anderson came back from injury. He's tearing it up in Ontario. He just can't seem to figure it out at the NHL level, but we saw Jad play on the first line against Columbus, and so maybe that's a good sign that that if Elias Anderson does come back, maybe he gets a chance with Kempe and Kopitar, and that can help him out. Maybe you finally move Kaliev up. If Lemieux's going to be down, you're already kind of breaking that lineup anyways. Give Kaliev some first line time. He deserves it. I think he can really do well with it. I think he's built up a lot of confidence already to the point where he's not going to kind of step up there and be nervous or not, looking to pass. So again, it'll be interesting, and we're going to have to see what happens. So if we look at the standings, the Kings have won 8 of the last 11 games they've played, and it's propelled them right into second place. They were able to hold on to it despite losing the 2 games. And at this point in the season now, everyone's pretty much played the same amount of games. Calgary has some games in hand, but they've run away with first place in the Pacific. But it's a slugfest right now. The Kings 1 point up on the Knights, who are 2 points up on the Oilers. That's pretty much the battle right there, as the Central is pretty much locked up. You have the Predators and the Stars kind of competing for the wild card as well. So they technically could knock the Oilers or Golden Knights or the Kings. If we drop a couple points, they could knock us both out and take 5, and we only get 3 in the playoffs. But it's just, it's the end of the season now. It's getting to the point where every single game is going to matter. The Kings are going to be playing a lot more Pacific Division teams, and they're going to have to win it. I mean, you look at the end of the year, these are the important games, and it's, I don't know. I kind of don't know what's going to happen with this team, because during this, I honestly felt like this team was one of the best teams I've seen since 2015 that the Kings have put out. I mean, they were playing their game flawlessly. Every single player was doing the right thing. It just felt amazing. It was fun to watch the Kings games, and that hasn't been a thing for a while. I mean, I watch every game no matter what, but the last couple of years, it's been a slog to get through the season. These games were fun, and I enjoyed every minute of the game. I expected the Kings to win, even if they were losing. This game right here against Boston, it really, took the legs out from under that kind of feeling. But it's kind of just, what do you think the Kings are? Do you think this is more what the Kings are, or do you think this is what the Kings are? Looking at the competition, these are the better teams. These are the weaker teams. So, it's tough to say, but the Kings just need to find ways. They're going to finish up this road trip. The Boston game is important because you got to do something to come back from a 7-0 loss. Hopefully they do. Buffalo feels like a trap game. They're actually playing really well for the position they are in the standings. And then 2 games against San Jose. So again, just like the Arizona games, these are 2 games that the Kings have to win. Out of these next 4, you got to win 3 of them. If you're going to lose to Boston, fine. You have to beat Buffalo. You have to beat San Jose twice, because the next couple games, San Jose again, but you got Florida, who's a really tough game. Colorado, a really tough game. Vegas is obviously a tough game, and a really important 4-point game. Nashville's another sneaky team. that could easily beat us. And then there's a little bit of ease here, but it's getting down to the wire. And, you know, I do believe this team is a playoff team at the moment. I believe that the guys are clicking. It's just, can they hold on to it? And it's going to be tough because you're relying on some older veteran guys like Kopi and Dowdy and Quick. Dustin Brown's fallen off, so you're not really relying on him. But you're hoping that they can keep the engines going, and you're relying on a lot of young guys who, you know, need to stay consistent. And you know, an 82 game season is new to them. So if the Kings can keep it up, that'll be great. I'm just not sure if that's a feasible ask for this team at the moment. And, you know, especially if injuries start creeping up, especially if we start getting some bad results and the morale starts to dip, it's going to be tough. But what do the Kings need to do to continue on this pace and to clinch the playoffs? They need to keep doing what they're doing. Right now, the best thing the Kings can do is roll fourth lines. The fourth line, again, with Lemieux going down, this might change, but that fourth line has to be the highest or one of the highest scoring fourth lines in the game. Again, the third line struggled, but you have Arvidsson, Danault, Moore playing like a first line. You have Kempe and Kopitar with Iafallo continuing to score goals. Kopitar continues to just rack up points, even when you think that he's not playing at his best. You know, you look at his stats of the last 10 games and he's a point per game. He's just that kind of guy. So that's, the team is doing really well with that. Another thing is it's just the little things that the team is really good at. Stuff like face-off percentage. Obviously, adding a guy like Danault helps with that. The team doesn't take a lot of penalties, so even though the special team struggles, they don't take many penalties to get themselves in a shorthanded situation. Stuff like stick checking is really good too, and it's not just the Kopitars or the Danaults or the Dowdies. It's guys like Kaliev, it's guys like Adrian Kempe, even Victor Arvidsson. All the players on this lineup from top to bottom are doing the right things to win games, and that's why the team has been winning. This wasn't a fluke, in my opinion. It's more that the team was regressing to the mean with their shooting percentage. The Kings are one of the worst shooting percentage teams in the league, and that explains a lot of these losses early on in the season. They were out shooting their opponents. It's just none of them were going in. Now the shots are going in, and you're scoring 5 goals. You're scoring 4, 5, 4. 3-2 is the lowest scoring game there. That's just the team, having average shooting percentage over this course because they're out shooting the opponents 35 to 25 pretty much every game. When you continue that kind of pressure on teams and you have a strong forecheck and you play good defense when you're forced to, you're going to be winning games. And so that's the real reason I don't think this team is a fluke right now. I think this is where we should be. But like I said, we have a lot of young players. The momentum really matters. And so if the Kings can continue to just play well, if they keep buying into the system that they have right now, I think this team has a really good shot. Again, Calgary is running away with it and they look like a scary team. But if you get a 2 or 3 seed, these are matchups that the Kings can win. That should be the goal. A wild card is not what the Kings want. You don't want to face the Avalanche. You don't want to face the Flames. If you can get one of the Golden Knights or the Oilers, there's a chance to go far in the playoffs. Once you get past the first round, anything can happen. That's what I'm hoping for this team, and I hope that you guys continue to follow me through the season as we start to really get into the heart of it, to the end of it. Every game matters. Every point matters right now. And I will continue to be here, keep you guys covered, and give my thoughts on this team. All right. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next one.